Hello, everyone. This is Kerwin, and today, with Freaking Flyer 101, Freaking Traveler 101, and today, Virgin Atlantic just partnered with Delta. Well, they've been a partner of Delta for a while, but now they're officially a member of SkyTeam. And one of the questions that someone asked me was, how can you book Delta flights or SkyTeam? Why can't I get this right? How can you book Virgin Atlantic flights using Delta points? And so I thought I'd show you how that's done. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a picture of when I flew Virgin Atlantic upper class. It's been a long time. And so the picture I have behind me is actually Qatar Airways. Sorry about that. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my screen and I will show you what I'm talking about. So let me get to share screen and we'll share my desktop. Don't get too excited about my desktop. I have a lot of stuff on my desktop. Okay, so try to move this out of the way somehow. Okay. So this is delta.com. When you go to delta.com, what you're going to do is in order for you to show the miles on the flights, use your miles on the flights, you have to sign in. But I'm going to show what it looks like when you're not signed in. So let's just do one of the markets is JFK to London Heathrow. And then I'm just doing it for simplicity on the nonstop flight. If you do a connecting flight, so let's say you're in, say, the middle of the country, St. Louis or something, and you do a St. Louis to Heathrow, it'll either connect you via LA, or it'll take you to New York, or it'll take you to Atlanta and then take you over. Either way, you'll pick up a market that Virgin Atlantic serves. For example, they do serve LA to London, and they do serve JFK to London. And I think they do Atlanta to London, but I'm not certain. Okay, so let's choose a date. We're going to choose a date somewhere in the future. Let's choose May 16th. Because I want to make sure you actually get results. So now what it's doing is it's going to give me all the flights from JFK to Heathrow on May 16th, and it's just one way. So let's see what we got. Okay. Now, every time you come in, you see this little thing here that says DL5996 is operated by Virgin Atlantic. This is very important. This is something that the Department of Transportation in the US have mandated that the airlines do. This wasn't the case a long time ago, but what happened is that you would buy a ticket on Delta, and then Virgin Atlantic is the operating carrier, i.e., that's the airplane you're actually going to get on. And then it's confusing for travelers because they would end up going to Delta and then checking in with Delta, and then Delta's like, well, you have to go over to Virgin, which you still have to do anyway. But at least now you know it's operated by Virgin Atlantic. So whenever you see anything like this, and it means that you have to, when you get to the airport, you don't go to the Delta counter, you go to the Virgin Atlantic counter. Now, the SkyTeam Alliance is supposed to allow Delta to check you in for the flight. So let's say this was in, and I'm kind of going a little out of what I wanted to explain, but this is important. Let's say you were starting in St. Louis. You're doing St. Louis to JFK, JFK to Heathrow. When you get to St. Louis, there is no Virgin Atlantic counter in St. Louis. So you would actually go to Delta. Delta will check you in, and this is a part of the whole alliance and code share and Star Alliance bit. Delta will check you in, and it's part of the seamless is the word that they use. When you check in with Delta, you get your bag tagged all the way to Heathrow, and you get your boarding passes for both segments of your flight. So Delta is going to get the boarding pass for for St. Louis to JFK, and then you're going to get, and that's a Delta boarding pass. Then you're going to get another boarding pass that goes from JFK to Heathrow, and that's going to be a Delta Virgin Atlantic boarding pass. It'll be on Delta paper stock, so it'll look like a Delta ticket, but the second piece is actually going to be on Virgin Atlantic. So that's what's important when you see it says DL5996 is operated by Virgin. You can typically tell when a flight is operated by another airline because usually it's over 1,000. What they do is that for every codeshare partner, they assign them a series or a block of flight numbers. And I know this is getting into the weeds of things, but it helps you to understand it. So when you see something like 5,996, you're like, oh, that's a codeshare. Maybe another one of their partner has the 6,000, and then another partner has the 7,000. Now it gets even more complex when they have flights that are not operating on the normal days. You have a delay, and then the delay goes to another day. You can't use the regular flight number series. You have to use a new series, and so they have a special series for that. But maybe I should do a whole video on flight numbers. That might be interesting. Just let me know in the comments. So anyway, this is the flight that we have. It's JFK to Heathrow, and it's Delta 5996. And if I click on that, it tells me it's an A330-300. And it goes down. And then it gives me some little stats in it. And it tells me it's upper class. That's what the Virgin Atlantic first class is called. First class, business class, if you want to call it that. And it just gives you some more information about this particular flight. And the price is actually $4,922. And you can see the difference. Economy $641, economy delight $791, premium $1,531, and upper class $4,922. And it gives you some more information about the particular flight, Airbus A330-300. Now, one thing I don't see here, but they normally put it in, is that it tells you what the Virgin Atlantic flight number is. It's not on here, but it normally tells you. Now, one thing about this too, this is a day flight. So you leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're up in London at 8:05. London is 5 hours ahead of JFK. So when you get to London, it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you don't want to sleep, right? But what you should do is you should go to sleep, because otherwise jet lag is going to get you. And although if you go to sleep at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, by the time you get to your hotel, say it's like 10 o'clock, right? So it's only 5 o'clock in New York. So you're not asleep. You're not sleepy, but you should go to sleep. Because if not, then when it comes the next morning, you're going to be sleepy, but everybody's awake. I know jet lag is tough. All right, so let's close this for a sec. And so this gives you an idea of what the display looks like when you want to pay for it. So you could actually go in and you could book this flight. Now, there's no basic economy available on this particular one, but you have main cabin, comfort plus, is all the different category that's on the Virgin flights. If you go further down, this is another Virgin flight here, 5994, and you're probably saying, well, doesn't Delta have flights as well? And they do. Here's one, Delta 1. So it's a 745, gets in at 750, and see, they didn't have the DL1 is operated by Delta Airlines. Some airlines will actually do that just so there's no confusion and the display is consistent. Now, notice on the Delta One flights, they don't have the names of what you're buying is slightly different. All right, let me give you an example. On Virgin, they have Economy Classic, Economy Delight, Premium, and Upper Class. On Delta, they've got Main Cabin. This is sold out, but I think it may just not be available. We'll go further down to see if there's another one. But see, they have Premium Select and they have Delta One. So what Virgin calls Upper Class, Delta calls Delta One. What Virgin calls Premium, Delta calls Premium Select. What Virgin calls Economy Class, Delta calls Main. So that just gives you an idea. Now, what I was trying to do is to see if I could find a Delta flight so we could find out what the second category is called. And here we go. So the Delta flight, you've got Main, Comfort Plus, Premium Select, and Delta One. And then you can see the comparison here for Virgin, which is Economy Classic, Economy Delight, Premium, and Upper Class. I hope that makes sense. If you get any questions about that, just let me know. And then you would go through and book this. Now, at the end, they normally ask you if you want to pay with miles, depending on how you're signed in. But what you can do is you can switch to miles here. And then it should tell you how many miles you will need for these flights. So what this is telling you is that you can fly on Virgin in economy class for 60,000 miles plus $6. This is the taxes. And you're always going to have to pay the government taxes when you're leaving. You can't get around that. And for premium, it's 135. But they don't have anything in upper class available. And because it's available, it's not available, they didn't put the name upper class there. So let's see if we can find a flight that has upper class. So now notice that you could buy a seat, what was it, $4,922. Airlines, they make a certain number of seats available in the different cabin of service. And I say cabin, I mean Main cabin, the Comfort Plus, the Premium Select, and the Delta One. So that's just the different types of seats. So there's 4 different types of seats, and each have different leg room on the aircraft. So that's what this here is. What they do is that you can see a seat available for a dollar value, but when you go to redeem miles, there's nothing available for mileage redemption. Delta does something called dynamic pricing. And so what they do is that they, based on just like how before, the airlines used to have a set chart. So if I'm going to Europe, it's 60,000 in economy, and it's 375,000 in business class, first class, Delta One in this case. But what Delta did a few years ago is they said, well, we want to maximize that revenue. So if you're going at a time when it's high demand, I could probably get more than 60,000 or more than 375,000. So you may come in here and look at different dates, and these prices are a lot more than what you see here. That's dynamic pricing. Some airlines just have a flat chart, like that's what Virgin had before. But I think because Virgin is being managed by Delta, owns 49% of Virgin. And so a lot of the features that's in Delta, you're actually seeing in Virgin. I had a thought, and I was going to show you some more of this, because depending on the flight, the amount of points might be more. Like for this one, actually, here's an example. On the 11:10 p.m., and this is Virgin flight, Virgin 138. Now, this particular Virgin flight is not one that's code share. Code share means that Delta has a it's Delta put their quote unquote code. So literally there's a Delta flight number associated with this particular flight. But for Virgin VS138, there isn't one. VS138 is VS138, right? And even if you look further down here, you can see that you can even fly in KLM. So there's a KLM 642 connecting to KLM 1000. And sorry, the phone just rang. And so there's a KLM 642 and KLM 1007. These are connecting flights that will also take you from JFK to Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam into London Heathrow. But look, it's 60,000, and they don't have premium, what's called a Delta Comfort Plus available on this aircraft, but they're sold out in premium economy, and they're also sold out in business. So KLM is a part of SkyTeam. So just like how you can use your points on KLM, you can use them on Virgin, you can use them on Air France if they're available in this marketplace. So if we scroll down a little further, this is all KLM's, KLM. I was trying to see if there's another. Okay, here we go. There's Air France. That's what I was looking for. I noticed the availability is different all the time. So if you want to fly Air France Premium Economy with your Delta miles, this is one option that you can do. You could take this particular flight, 11:55. It stops in Paris and then it continues onto Heathrow. Now, for this flight, you cannot check in with Delta. You have to check in with Air France because you have an Air France ticket. if that makes sense. And I know it gets a little confused, and it's telling you Air France 9 and Air France 1280 are operated by Air France. Now, this means you have to go to the Air France ticket counter and check in. So if you're at an airport like JFK and Delta flies there, Air France flies there, KLM flies there, and Virgin flies there, you need to check in with the particular airline that's operating your flight. So although you bought a ticket on the Delta website, you need to go over to Air France and check in at Air France. You can't check in at the Delta counter. Now, in big airports like JFK, this makes a huge difference because I believe Air France is in Terminal 1 and Delta is in a different terminal. I don't know what the number is, but it's a different terminal. So you need to make sure that you're checking at the right terminal. That's why it's a good reason to download the app, because the app will tell you. And when you check the website will also tell you. When you get the information, it'll tell you that you need to go check in here. Now in Paris, when you're actually in London or Paris, you need to also make sure that you're checking in with the right airline, because in Heathrow, that's a huge airport. And if you go to the wrong terminal, you could possibly miss your flight. It takes sometimes half an hour to 45 minutes to switch terminals outside or even inside, because you have to get in a bus, the bus goes on the airport, it drives around. So it takes a little while. So this gives you a good idea of how you can use your Delta points to book on their partners. Now, this is just one way to do it. I haven't even logged in yet. Now, there's also another method. You could do miles and cash. It's just loading this up. And so it tells you here. So this is a Delta flight, and you can do 525,500 miles plus $146. But look at Delta one. It's 360,000 miles because it was 375,000 before for $296. So it's crazy how much it costs to use these miles. Now, this is why people do the credit card game, where you apply for the credit card, you get the miles, and then you transfer the miles to your Delta account, and then you buy the ticket through Delta. The other way that people do is you can, let's say you have American Express, you have the miles in American Express, you go on Virgin's website and you find out, well, first you figure out all the partners that American Express has. And then you go to that partner, you figure out how much miles they're charging. So let's say you have, just for argument's sake, let's say American Express has Delta, KLM, Virgin Atlantic, and Air France, because we're in Delta. And you go on all those 4 websites and you find that each of them have a different amount of mileage redemption. So what you do, you transfer the points from American Express to the one that has the least amount of points that you need, and then you go book on that one. Now, the thing is, you get everything quickly. Because if you don't do it quickly and you transfer the points and you're waiting, and then it's no longer available on that particular one, you've already transferred it and you can't transfer it back, right? You have to use it on that one. Now, the example I gave it is for simplicity. I do have a little program that tells you for American Express which airlines you can transfer your points to. And I'll leave a link in the comment section for you. But this gives an idea of what you pay with miles. Now, notice that I no longer have Air France, and I don't have the Delta, the KLM, and all those options. That's because Delta is only doing the miles plus cash on its own flights. So it's not doing it on the partner flights. In the airline world, a lot of things happen in the background. So it looks very seamless to you here because you're just booking up front. But in the background, they pay money to each other at the end of the month. That says, oh, I sold a flight for you, so I get 20%, you get 80% because that's the agreement that we have in the background. So that's what's happening all the way in the back. When they do miles in cash, I don't think they have this agreement because if they did, you'd have probably seen it. Or sometimes those particular flights are not available. Now you need to say to yourself, is 15,000 miles worth $296, or probably 290 because the $6 is the taxes. So it gets a little complex. Also, you can see the operated by here, Delta 5314, because if we do details, it'll give us more information. So this flight is JFK Detroit and then Detroit to Heathrow. And it's telling you that Detroit to Heathrow is on Delta 1. That's the 360,000. But JFK to Detroit is in first class, and it is on, as domestic US first class. It is on a smaller airplane, and that particular airplane is, where is it? It's operated by, see, it didn't tell me the details here. It told me on the other page, but it didn't tell me in here. But this is, oh, CRJ 900, but it normally tells me the name of the operator here, but it's not showing that. It does show it in, it's not even anywhere else on the page. All right, Delta. I don't see it on the page. So let's close that for a sec. It is on the original one. On here it says DL5314 is operated by Endeavor Air, DBA Delta connection, because that is required. Now, once you pick now here's the thing with Delta. If you're like, I think if you're like if you have higher status, I have no status with Delta now. If it expired, I think February, the end of January 31st. I had gold status. When you pick your flights in here, I lost my train of thought, but what was I gonna say? It really had to do with, but anyway, I was gonna go. Oh, one thing you can do when you're on here, if you go in seats, you can see what seats are available. So let's say I wanted a window seat, but I didn't like this window seat and I don't like that window seat, but I wanted this window seat, but only this window seat is available. I could say, you know what, I'm not going to go on the flight because that's the seat I want and it's not available. But now I have to go search again. So this gives you an idea of what seats are still open, i.e. unassigned, before you actually book the flight. So this is something, when I worked for the industry before, this is one of the big things that customers were asking for, and we just didn't have it. And eventually we came up with a way to figure it out. And so now it's like standard, right? Now you see it, you're like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I need. So as you go through here, you do see more details about, so these are the first class seats, 121. And that X means that it is unavailable. Typically, that will be a crew rest seat, which is probably why it's not available. And then there are more seats here. You can see the Delta Premium seats and the Delta Comfort seats and the regular seats that are available. Now, it may look like, see, these seats are blocked off. These are typical crew. These are probably crew rest seats again, and maybe these are crew rest seats. So it just depends. One interesting about this is that you see a lot of the seats are not available. They're not necessarily taken, but oftentimes the airlines will block some of the seats. And you will see, like, if Virgin is selling the same seat, the same flight on the Virgin website, oftentimes Delta will just give them select amount of seats that they can do, like a batch of seats that they can sell, which is probably why you have some of these seats blocked out. It's not always the case, but sometimes it is the case. Seat assignments are just one of the things in the airline industry that's extremely annoying. And even now, whenever you go in and you try to, so you book on Delta and you're trying to get a seat, it goes, oh, I can't give you a seat. You have to go over to Virgin. So when you book, you're going to get two confirmation numbers, one for Delta and one for Virgin. You're going to take the Virgin number, you're going to go over to the Virgin website and put that number in with your name and to pull up your reservation. You can actually assign yourself a seat there if you were not able to assign one on the Delta side. I know it's crazy, but that's what happens. Let's go back to miles. I can't do miles because I don't have enough. So let me show you if I try to do miles, what it's going to tell me. It's going to come back and say, it's first going to ask me to sign in. So let's say I wanted to do premium on that one, 135,000. I have like 3,000 miles on Delta. I don't hoard miles. As I get them, I use them. So now it's asking me to select seats. So I picked, let me go select the seat. I'll show you. So it's 135,000 plus $5. And all right, so let's see if I can actually, so this says login for more specialized experience. The reason is when you're logged in, the system knows what status you have. Oh, and look, it's finally giving me the Virgin Atlantic flight numbers, VS26. When you log in, it is looking at your account. And so some accounts, you can see more things than other accounts. So if you're like a 360 is what they call their top tier, you can see more things than normal. So notice that the seats on the outside are all taken. There is no way all those window seats on the outside are taken. I don't think that that's the case. When everything in the middle is open, right? And everything in the back is available. It looks suspect. But anyway, you get what it all has to do with the seating availability. So let me check. Let me see if I wanted to take 24K, which is a premium seat. And let me save and exit out of here. Let's see what I get. Okay, so I got my seat. And next thing I'm going to continue to review and pay. And at some point, it's going to ask me to sign in, which is like now. And so I've just moved my account out of the way because you don't need to know my account number, do you? Okay. So now it tells me, hey, dude, you don't have enough miles. And so what it's going to do, it'll take me back to the results and it's going to start me over because I don't have enough miles. So I have to either transfer miles to if I had Amex miles, I could transfer my Amex miles in. If I don't have any miles, I'm going to have to go to money and go pay with money because I need to have the miles in my Delta account before I can pay. So I can go down to, so let's say I was going to buy a ticket. Let's say I pick that one. They're always trying to upsell me, right? It's a $200. That when you go to McDonald's, would you like fries with that? This is the would you like fries with that bit. Don't discount it because sometimes you may need the refundability of the ticket. So which means I can buy it for $200 more. It's fully refundable. I can cancel it anytime I want. I get my money back. So don't discount that. Every traveler is different. So now it goes down and they're still trying to upsell me. Now they're trying to upsell me to the same refundable, or I can upgrade to premium upper class. And it gives me more bags, a bigger seat. I have access to the clubhouse lounge. And notice now the taxes are $31.20. If you click on here, it gives you details of what the taxes are. $560, which is a tax that you can't get away from. This is a tax that showed up when it says plus $6, that's what it's talking about as a $560 for the civil aviation service fee from the US. Then we have a departure tax of $21.10, and then the facility charge of $4.50. There's a whole bunch of taxes. So it brings the whole thing. And this is also the annoying thing. There's a carrier imposed surcharge. So that's the fare, the $411.99. But then this carrier charge an extra $350, which is really, really annoying. But that's what they do. So if we want to go and let's say we can select our seat. Yes, I'm traveling. Because if you're not traveling, it's going to ask you for all the information for that person. Now, this is how the Virgin Upper Class is 121. And but I'm gonna go premium economy. Let me pick 24K now. This is the one I had before. Save and exit. Okay, 1530. It's still trying to upgrade me. And now it tells you what your bags are. Now, what you see here is going to be dependent on where you're going and your status, the credit card you're using, because some of the credit cards have a special deal. So in this particular case, I can take a free carry-on and I can check a bag, my first bag for free, and I can even check my second bag for free. And this is probably depending because of the cabin I'm traveling in. And also they want trip protection. So if you want trip protection, you can get trip protection, which I highly recommend if you do not, because look, it's only in this particular case, how much is it? $72 for it. Which, you can look at all the benefits that you get for it. So that's so once you hit your credit card and you pay, you're done. And that is typically how you would book a codeshare flight or a flight on one of the Delta partners using your Delta miles or just booking on the Delta website. In the next video, I think what I'll go to Virgin's Atlantic website and show you how you can book Delta on the Virgin Atlantic website. So thank you for watching. If you got any questions, just let me know. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And yeah, just let me know. This is Kerwin with Frequent Traveler 101. Have a good flight.